Hello everyone, I'm Aaron Schatz, Editor-in-Chief of ASE Publishing, and welcome to another HardwareLogic video review. Today we'll be looking at the Antec 600 version 2 case. It is a budget gaming case, so we'll check it out and let you know how it works. This is review ID 18405. You can check out this and all our other reviews by going to www.HardwareLogic.com. While you're there, subscribe to our RSS feeds and please leave us some feedback on our YouTube channel or whatever you want. We'd love to hear from you, and we always respond to feedback, so please just give us some. On to the case. Alright, so let's start with the literature and such. So Antec gives you a small little piece of literature to tell you how to, put together the case and stuff, but most people probably aren't going to use that. Given a survey thing here and a little insert to show you how to mount the internal serial ATA SSD 2.5-inch drive that's mounted on the bottom here, right around here on the bottom. And that was done on like the DF85 that we reviewed also. And really, I think that's just something to just throw in there that they could just do. So, and here's the warranty statements and stuff. Antec always gives you enough screws though, so you'll never have to worry about running out of screws with an Antec case. And that's really important because if you see a lot of cheap cases, they don't come with enough screws. So you can have everything mounted and such, and all of a sudden you go to mount everything and like you run out of screws. That sucks. So Antec gives you plenty of screws for mounting everything that you need in the case. So let's start with the exterior views of the case. This is the side that you're going to see most of the time since it's got the window. And interestingly enough, most of the Antec cases now have these 120mm fan mounts on the window itself, and there's nice vents here to allow it to go. There's two rubber grommets here to prevent vibration because you don't want a case that's really loud. Alright, let's move to the front here. Let me just reset. Actually, let's start at the top. Now, unlike other Antec cases, there's no USB 3 ports, so basically you only get 3 USB 2.0 ports. You get the reset button, the power button, and a few indicator LEDs on here. There's a window here to allow you to see inside the case on the top, but the problem is if you have an optical drive mounted, you're not going to see anything there. So it's just a little tidbit of information that you might not worry about, because even though there's a window here, it's useless. You could see the giant 200mm fan on the top, and I like big fans because with big fans you can push less air with, let me say it again, with big fans you can push more air with less noise because the fan can spin a lot slower. So we saw that on the original 900 case, and it's glad that the newer 600 case has that as well. So moving on to the front of the case, you could see that you got 3 optical drive areas and 1 serial ATA drive dock, which I really don't know why people put these in cases, but you just slide that in there and it locks in like that. The problem is there's no rails inside the case, so it basically just is being held by the actual ports itself. So even so, I wouldn't really use this as my primary serial ATA drive dock. I'd use the one inside the case because these are still pretty expensive, and you don't want somebody just walking out and just pulling it out of there and be like, yeah, this is my serial ATA drive now. So, to each his own. If you want to do hot swap, that's great, but that's why you got USB 3 nowadays, right? Needless to say, this side of the case is blank, so it's pretty boring, but I'm showing it to you anyway. You can actually see the profile on the top. These bars in here aren't for carrying the case, even though most people will probably use it for that reason, but even Antec says you're not supposed to carry the case with those, because they're just plastic, so it might break, but whatever. Now the back of the case has your new traditional Antec styling. You have the power supply on the bottom here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 I/O shield ports, and unfortunately these are breakaways, so they're going to leave really sharp edges. And that's one thing you're going to notice about this case, that it's not like the higher end versions. You're going to have these things that break away and they pull away and they snap off, so you're going to left with little hard and sharp edges, but you just deal with that. The I/O shield's up here for the motherboard, and that's fine. There's a 120mm fan right here to blow out air, I should say. And you have fan speed controls for the case right here. So that's that. Oh, and there's 2 areas to punch out, and I do mean punch out if you want to use them for water cooling. So you'd actually have to, you know, smash them out, and you're going to left with an edge that's going to be very sharp. So if you want to use that, that's your choice. All right, let's move on to the internal parts of the case. Now, unlike the higher end cases, even though you might be given a little wire management areas, the unfortunate part is that there's no holes on the tray to actually route any of the wires through. So even if you wanted to come through the top and such to route like the power cables for the motherboard, you're not going to be able to do it because there's no holes to do it. So even though Antec gives you a lot of space for wire management, they're pretty much useless because you can't route them anywhere for the back of the motherboard. So you could just jam wires in everywhere, and that's pretty much what I just did. And to be honest, I'm really not a person that uses wire management that much anyway, so to each his own. Actually, Antec sent along one of their newer 750 watt power supplies, so that's pretty cool of them. It's the high current gamer power supply, and it's got some nice red finishing to it. And HardwareLogic and ASELabs are both red and black, so good power supply on that one. Alright, so you see a closer shot of the CPU area and the internal exhaust fan. And let me just pan down for you to see the rest of the system. So let's just take a little slow right there. And you can see the motherboard and the I/O shields and the expansion ports and the power supply in the bottom. One thing about the power supply in the bottom, let's say that you have a long power cable, a short power cable for the ATX power. You're not going to be able to route that all the way over here without really basically like just dragging the cable. But that's generally the case, and most power supply companies assume that they're going to need a long enough cable that the power supply is going to be on the bottom of the motherboard, I should say, rather than the top of the case, because Antec is a pretty big player in cases, and putting the power supply on the bottom of the case means that power supply manufacturers are actually going to have to work with that, and they do. So that's fine. And here we see the drive portion of the case. You have 1, 2, 3 bays for optical drives. You have the serial ATA SSD hot swap bay, and if you see inside, there is a little, place that the SSD can rest, but it's still resting on the connector itself, and it wiggles around a lot, so it's not really secure in place. And even so, hot swap SSD bays, I don't understand that. I mean, you use an SSD inside the computer, so why would you need to hot swap them? They're very expensive still, so it's not like you would just pop in a regular hard drive that's like $50. But, whatever. And besides, we have USB 3 and external serial ATA, so I don't see the need too much for hot swap bays like that. Alright, moving on. Let's go down to the hard drive bays, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So you can have 6 drives in there if you want to have a really large RAID array or, what have you. And buried under the mess of cables down here is let me just pull all these cables out for you to see. Yeah, there's a nice lot of space that you get in there. There's an SSD buried in there. See it? It's right there. So that's where they put the single 2.5-inch SSD mount. It's on the bottom of the case, so stuff all your cables near it. There's actually wire management. Let me see if I can get in here for you. There's a wire management portion in the back here, like behind the drive cages. So if you want to stick all your wires in there, you can, but this has an open space for me, so I just stick it anywhere, right? Alright, so the last thing I wanted to show you was how to actually remove this front part of the case. There's little release clips here on the case, so you're just pushing them in like this, and the front pops off like that. There's an actual fan grill right here that you can clean. So that's very nice. I always like when they put these fan grills on. And basically there's clips on these right here that you would just open up and then it comes off. These are fan bays that you would mount your fan on, and this comes off like this. And then you could put your fans on here and basically put it back like this. That's a really loud snap, but yeah, you get the idea. Alright, so the side of the case is off, and let's see what happens when we turn it on. We'll see how the case sounds. It's pretty nice. You have a blue LED pattern going on in the light, right on the fan right here, I should say. Now let me just lower the actual issue is that I have a really loud video card in here. So if I just turn off the damn fan on the video card, you can hear the case itself, and it's barely audible. So actually what I'm going to do is stop the fan on the video card just for a second and allow you to hear the case by itself. Let me put the fans all the way up. And that's all the way on high, and I'll make it low. And that's on low. And really, you could barely hear the case itself, the fans in the case, over any other whirling in the house and stuff. There's a refrigerator right near me, and it's pretty much making more noise. And this stupid fan is making more noise too, so there you go. Alright, so I did want to show you how the case looks with all the lights on. The top fan also has a light. You can turn it on and off by the back here. And let me turn all the lights off so you can see how the case looks in the dark. And as you can see, there's two spots for lighting here. You have this fan here and the top fan here. Now, generally I would put more lighting in the case because it's pretty dark in there, and blue really doesn't give a lot of really nice light off. So I'd put either some tracer modules in here or a cathode if you have it even, so to give your case a little more lighting. But you know, the little subdued light that it does give you is pretty nice anyway, so to each his own. The Antec 600 version 2 retails for a little under $100 or so you can buy it right now. It's available. Unfortunately though, the case doesn't really exude a real high-end feel to it, and $100 is still a pretty expensive case to have. Even though it's considered a budget gaming case, it really needs a bunch of more updates to really like hit that $100 price point home. There are other cases that even Antec makes at a better price point, and you lose a lot of things. I mean, really, cases with, you know, sharp edges and stuff and breakouts in the back, that shouldn't be, especially for an Antec case. I shouldn't have to go to an I/O port and be like, oh, let me just wiggle the damn thing out and cut my hand on it while I'm taking it out. It doesn't work. There's some other features on the case, like this top window here, that's weird and useless actually if there's an optical drive in there. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still a really nice case, and $100 is still in the budget category for gaming cases, but even so, it's pretty, the negatives outweigh the positives, especially for the price point. So as for, if you want to buy an Antec case, there are other cases like the 900 and 902, the Dark Fleet series is a great series of cases. It has some, you know, its own issues, but still, this is just a weird case. I don't know where it's fitting in an Antec's line, but it's a little too expensive to be a real budget case, and it's just not high-end enough to be a good quality Antec gaming case. So, you know, if you want it, that's great. I really don't suggest buying it, but you know, if you have that $100 price point and you want a nice gaming case, it's still an acceptable case to use. You're not going to get all the wire management that you might expect for a gaming case, but you know, those are the caveats that you have to deal with. HardwareLogic would like to thank Antec for sending this case for review. You can check out our text portion of the review on HardwareLogic.com for links to various merchants that purchase this product right now. For HardwareLogic and ASE Publishing, I'm Aaron Schatz, and thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe to our RSS feed and our YouTube channel to be informed of all of our latest video and text reviews, and leave us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Send me an email or what have you. We're actually going to change the focus of ASE Labs in the coming months, so if you want to get a little more info on that, just give me a buzz and I'll let you know what's going on. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.